If you were arrested for a felony domestic violence and you research on the internet, as you're doing right now, you may see a lot of things about facing potential prison time, potential jail time, but if it was your first time ever being arrested, or if your arrests were pretty minor or unrelated, DUI, petty theft, those types of things, then it is unlikely that you are going to jail or prison. There is one exception to that rule, and in this video I'm going to be explaining what that is so that you can see if you run the risk of falling into that category. My name is Veronica. I am a criminal defense attorney here in California, and I help people put their cases behind them so that they can enjoy their lives and their freedom. And again, in this video I'm going to be talking about how if it's your first time felony domestic violence charge, this is your first time being arrested, you have no criminal history, usually there's no jail or prison. Usually, if you have a good criminal defense attorney, you can have them contact the DA before court and often get the case completely dropped. But there is one factor that changes that makes you much more likely to have charges filed against you, to go to jail, to go to prison, to end up with a felony conviction. Okay, so let's jump right in to exactly what that is. All right, so if you are charged with felony domestic violence, so usually it's going to be PC Penal Code 273.5A. If you are charged with that and your bail was $50,000, that is a standard domestic violence first time offense charge. And many times that can be reduced to a misdemeanor or even dropped before court if you have an attorney contact the DA's office. That is very possible in many cases. And even if you do get charged, the chances of you ending up with prison or jail time or even a felony conviction are usually not that good, except for if there is a great bodily injury allegation. So a GBI allegation is where the state says that in addition to this criminal charge you have, this PC 273.5A, there's this additional allegation that makes it worse, this additional accusation that makes it worse, which is that you caused great bodily injury to someone else. So if there is this great bodily injury allegation that is added to your case, then that can add 3 to 6 additional potential years in prison if you are convicted. And it's actually a strike offense under California's 3 strike laws. And when you are arrested for PC 273.5A, the DA still has to look at the case and decide how they're going to file it. Are they going to file it as a felony, as PC 273.5A, the same thing that you were arrested for? A misdemeanor, they can reduce it to a misdemeanor. Are they going to drop it altogether? Or are they going to file more serious charges? They can also add this GBI allegation. And if they add the GBI allegation, it's going to make your case much worse because at the very first court date, the court may increase your bail. Typically, it's going to be $100,000 instead of $50,000. So if you're wondering, does that mean I have to pay another $5,000 to a bail bondsman to get out? Yeah, it does. And if you can't, then you potentially go to jail. Potentially, the judge will not increase it, of course, but that is the risk that you run. Plus, the case has become so much more serious. It makes them more likely to file in the first place. It makes them more likely to want you to go to jail or go to prison, even if it's your very first time ever being arrested. So, the million-dollar question, obviously, is what is great bodily injury? And the answer is not satisfying. Under California law, great bodily injury means any significant or substantial physical injury. And there is not a hard and fast rule about what constitutes great bodily injury. It's very frustrating, right? Because you want to be able to say this is definitely great bodily injury or definitely not, but it is going to always be up to the judge or jury. Now, a defense attorney can use that to their advantage when they're negotiating with the DA, when they're talking to the DA and saying, hey, this is not great bodily injury because of X, Y, Z. You guys aren't going to be able to prove this in court. They can definitely do that. But let's get into some examples of what might be great bodily injury. Okay, so broken bones. If it's a broken bone, it probably is going to be considered great bodily injury by the judge or jury. And by the judge or jury, I mean like at trial. This would be a fact that has to be proven at trial, where the judge or jury has to look at whatever injuries occurred and decide if they count as great bodily injury. The judge would only come into play if you waived jury trial. So you decided to not have 12 people decide your guilt or innocence, but instead have just one, the judge, for whatever reason. Sometimes strategically that makes sense. Usually not, but it might. So usually for domestic violence cases, this is the jury we're talking about. Okay, gunshot wounds. Gunshot wounds are typically going to be great bodily injury. Now you can imagine a case where the bullet sort of scrapes by and maybe it leaves a minor abrasion on my arm. Is that great bodily injury? Probably not. But if you shoot someone in the arm, that is probably going to count as great bodily injury. Causing someone to have a concussion. Serious wounds that require stitches. Serious burns. Sometimes a swollen black eye can also count as a great bodily injury. Now, great bodily injuries are limited to injuries from physical harm, so it doesn't include emotional scars or financial loss. I mean, sort of obviously, right? It's great bodily injury. But it says that in the jury instructions, so I just wanted to mention that. Now, while a great bodily injury can include major traumas, the serious injury, the great bodily injury, does not necessarily have to be permanent or be severe. So if it's something that has healed, that doesn't mean that it doesn't count as great bodily injury. Now, some of the factors that a judge or a jury will consider to determine whether or not a physical injury is a great bodily injury include the severity of the injury, the resulting physical pain to the victim, and if the injury required immediate medical care and the extent of medical care that was required. So, if the alleged victim is claiming a substantial physical injury, so I'm not talking about like a red mark or a small bruise, but a significant physical injury, they had to go to the hospital, they had to get stitches, that does make your case a lot more serious. Now, by serious, I do not mean hopeless, okay? Just because someone has a serious injury doesn't mean that you caused it. People get drunk and fall. People injure themselves while attacking you. I mean, there are many reasons why someone could have an injury. There are many reasons why someone could have an injury without you being at fault. I hope you found this video helpful. If you do have a domestic violence case in California, feel free to give me a call. And if you did find it helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell.